Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are. Welcome. This is Yoga with Come Follow Me, and I'm Catherine. Today we're going to go over Mosiah chapter 9 and 10, which, if you remember from yesterday, is basically the starting point of Zeniff and how he and some of his people are being taken captive in the land of Lehi-Nephi, and how they got there. Let's start in a standing position. We're going to bring our big toes together and our heels are going to be slightly apart. The reason for this is because if you take your feet, and just do this with me for a minute, and bring your heels together, both of the insides of your feet are touching each other, right? Now look down at your feet. There's a little bit of a V because our heels are smaller than our toes. So when we bring our heels out just slightly, our feet are now straight. When we create this kind of a root system where our feet are planted in the best way that they can be, structurally, we're going to help realign a lot of other things in our body as well. And start with your breath, as we always do. Start to inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. On your next inhale, just bring your hands to your hips. Keep your breath. Inhale and exhale. Now just notice what changed from going here, or sometimes we're here, or sometimes we're even here or here at the beginning of our practice, right? We don't really want to open up. As we kind of keep that breath alive and start warming up, you'll see your shoulders melt. Your whole body just open up just a little bit more. And then as we make that shift from our hands closed or our chest closed, we bring our hands to our hips, opening that chest, inhaling and exhaling. Just that tiny small gesture, many, many times, will deepen our breath, first of all, but it also gives us so much confidence, so much awareness to our body, and opens that chest center, and all of our chakras are all open. So a lot of things might come up, like I don't want to do this pose, and that's just vulnerability. It's some feelings that don't really want to be shown, are being now opened. Those energy centers are being opened. And there's no way for us to hide them, right? So bring your hands to your chest, bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And this stance actually has a lot to do with what we're gonna go over today. Inhale and exhale. You find a lot of strength in this pose, right? So inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, reach your arms up. Find length, find strength, open. Inhale, and on your exhale, bring your arms out wide, swan dive down, bending in the hips. Bring your chest towards your legs, forward fold. Bring your hands down to the ground. Let your head relax, gaze back. And take a couple of breaths. Maybe your knees are bent. Inhale, lengthen the spine, gaze out. The purpose of this pose is to lengthen our spine, make your back nice and flat. Inhale here, and exhale, forward fold. Relax that neck. Maybe grab opposite elbows, maybe sway side to side. Take a couple breaths. And when you're ready, on your next inhale, just roll up one vertebrae at a time. Your head comes up very last. Roll those shoulders back and down. And let's give our neck some love for a minute. Move your neck side to side, forward and back. From standing, on your next inhale, just lift the left leg and balance on that right foot. This is why it's important to just really find strength in those ankles, right? You're probably feeling your ankles shake. That's normal. It's just gaining strength. Okay, so chapter 9, verse 1, it starts with Zeniff. And it talks about how he's a Nephite and how he spied on the Lamanites in hopes that they would be doing so much bad. And then in verse 2, he actually sees a lot of good in the Lamanites. He goes to his ruler and says, let's make a treaty with the Lamanites. And the ruler says, no, let's kill you instead, because that's not happening. We don't like the Lamanites. Inhale here, and on your exhale, we're going to come into warrior 3. Inhale here. On your exhale, you're going to bend at the hips and extend your chest forward. That left leg goes back. Find strength in that right leg. And if you need a modification here, just grab onto something. You can grab onto something in front of you, and you can grab onto something like a wall. If you can, try to let go of things and just find a lot of strength in that right leg. And when you're ready, we're going to just bring that left hip down a little bit. A lot of times we try to stack. I'm falling over. A lot of times we try to stack our hips, right? So we're going to bring that left hip down to meet the right, and this will challenge it even more. That'll challenge your balance even more. So grab onto something if you need to. And his life is actually spared because all of a sudden they start to fight. He was rescued by the shedding of much blood, father against father, brother against brother, until the greatest number of our army was destroyed in the wilderness. And when we returned, they spread the news to their wives and children. That would be so hard. Probably feeling that leg. So on your exhale, you're going to bring your right hand down to the floor. It's going to be about 6 inches in front of your right foot. And this time, stack your legs. Again, if you need something to hold on to, go ahead and grab the wall, grab that chair that you were holding on to. So then Zeniff is like, I actually want to go possess the land of Lehi-Nephi. Does anybody want to come? Exhale, bend that left knee, bring it down to the ground, bring your left hand down, and just forward fold. Release that back tension. Take a couple breaths. So he gathers a lot of his brethren that want to come with him to possess this land. And so they start walking, and it says that they were struck with famine affliction, and they did not remember their God. But they keep journeying. That's kind of all that it says. They keep journeying, and in verse 4, they pitch their tents right outside of the land of Lehi-Nephi. So he takes 4 of his strong men and goes to King Laman, who is the king at this time, and he says, can we have your land? And King Laman is like, I am going to trick these people. Yes, you can have my land, and we will just leave. Zeniff's kind of like, well, that was easy, so let's go into this land, and let's build our own beautiful city that we love. Okay, from here, inhale, come all the way up to standing. One vertebrae at a time, bring your neck up west. On your inhale, bring your right foot up. So they build buildings, they build a garden, they build the fence around the city. For 12 years, they're in this city, and they're happy, and they feel peace. And then King Laman comes near them, and he's like, wow, they're really strong. I don't know if we can trick them anymore. Will this work? But he does it anyway, and he goes ahead and grabs all of his army and their weapons, and they charge against the Nephites while they are just like tilling their land and going about their business, totally unexpected. This is in the land of Shalom, right, which is right by the land of Lehi-Nephi. So the Nephites are in both of these cities. So these people in Shalom who are getting attacked, some are slain, and the people who live run over to the land of Lehi-Nephi and say, Zeniff, we just got attacked. So Zeniff is like, okay, here are all the weapons, let's get prepared. Okay, from here, exhale, warrior 3. Grab your chair, grab your wall. Whenever you're ready, bring that right hip down a little bit to meet the left. In verse 17, yea, in the strength of the Lord, we did go forth in battle against the Lamanites. I and my people did cry mightily to the Lord that he would deliver us out of the hands of our enemies. We were awakened to the remembrance of the deliverance of our fathers. Exhale, bring that left hand down to the ground. Stacking those hips now, our right fingertips all the way up to the sky. So they go forward with this strength of God that they call it. and they win this huge battle against the Lamanites. And they blame the win on the strength of God and that God was with them. And then we just go right into chapter 10. So after that battle, they have 22 years of peace. And now they have guards around the city. They have this big preparedness shed, is what I pictured, full of weapons, because they know that they'll probably come back. Exhale, bring that right leg back down to meet the left. Both of your palms down on the ground. Forward fold, maybe bend your knees. Release some of that tension. Those are kind of intense poses, so take your time. And then in verse 6, King Laman dies, and he gives reign to his son. And his son is like, okay, now that Laman's gone, let's actually go fight the Nephites. And then in verse 9, it says that they are prepared because of the strength of God. Okay, exhale, plant your palms and jump or step your feet back into a high plank. Lower down into the bottom of your push-up. Inhale, lift the chest. The shoelaces on your feet go down to the ground. Gaze up. That feels really good on my back. Counteract those balancing poses. If you want a little bit of a modification, just bring your hips and your knees down to the ground and lift your chest. Through the strength of God, they're prepared. They get all their weapons. They get everything they need to go to battle again. And again, they blame it on the strength of God. And they win this huge battle. Okay, exhale. Downward dog. Take some breaths. In chapter 10, verse 11 through 17, is all about why the Nephites hate the Lamanites. Just why they're in so much of a battle against each other so often, so consistently. So it's kind of fun to read because you kind of get this new understanding. Exhale, lift the heels, look at the hands, bend those knees, and bring your feet in between your hands, come to a seated position. And then at the very end of chapter 10, Zeniff dies and then hands his reign over to his son Noah, and we will start there next week. Okay, from here, let's just release that breath. Start to calm down that heart rate a little bit more. Through this whole thing, I've found so many cool messages about the strength of God. And it kept resonating with me. I've started this new thing also in my kitchen where I have this really big whiteboard. I think I've told you guys about that before. I have started just writing a phrase that kind of sums up or speaks to me from our Come Follow Me sections each week. And this week is Strength of God. I looked it up and I just went to the app, the church's app, and I searched Strength of God. And I thought it was really cool how many things came up. And I'm going to read some of them to you. Some of them were Stripling Warriors, the 2000 Stripling Warriors, which I love that whole story in them. And that presence just kind of reminded me of these Nephites. Faith, might, for him, meaning for God. Building a fortress of spirituality and protection. Pure love, a yearning home, called to serve, and overcoming adversity. What does it mean to you to have the strength of God? You have so much faith and might for God that you are building a fortress of spirituality and protection with the pure love of Christ to build a yearning home whom you are called to serve to overcome adversity. It's been huge for me, just these last 2 days since studying these so far. When I remember almost everything I do, I think, do this with the strength of God. And it changes everything. When you're doing something you don't necessarily want to do, it gives you a reason to find all the strength in the world that you have. So this week, I'm going to leave that with you. Let me know how it goes. Let me know how it changes your attitude and your have-tos and your to-dos. The light in me honors and loves the light within each one of you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have an awesome week. Find that strength. Namaste.